She thought I didn't notice. That's the thing about being underestimated. People get sloppy around you. They say things, do things, forget you're even in the room. My wife Jennifer had this way of talking over me at dinner parties, not loudly. Just precisely timed interruptions that made whatever I was saying evaporate mid-sentence. Her friends would laugh, touch her arm, and I'd fade back into the furniture. "David's in IT," she'd say, waving her wine glass. The way she said it made computer systems sound like janitorial work. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I didn't correct her. I architected security infrastructure for 3 Fortune 500 companies, but why ruin her narrative? We'd been married 6 years. The first 2 were good. Years 3 and 4, she started spending more time at the gym. Year 5, her friend group expanded. Brunches that lasted until dinner, yoga retreats, charity galas where I stood by the bar counting conversations. By year 6, I was furniture. "Men line up for me," she said one Thursday night, checking her reflection in the hall mirror. "Don't forget it." I looked up from my laptop. "Oh, I know." She smiled like I'd complimented her, then left for her book club that somehow never discussed books. I went back to work. Not the work she thought I did, the boring IT stuff, the other work, the pattern recognition, the data analysis I'd been running for 3 months. See, when you build security systems, you learn something fundamental. People are networks. Information flows through them like packets through routers, and every network has vulnerabilities. Jennifer's network was interesting. 12 core members, all women, all married, all between 28 and 35. They met twice weekly, sometimes more. Coffee, brunch, wine bars, Pilates studios that somehow required 2-hour sessions. I'd started mapping it in January. Not because I suspected anything. Honestly, I just needed a project. Jennifer had made it clear my hobbies bored her, so I found one she wouldn't notice. By March, I had a spreadsheet: names, husbands, connection points, frequency of contact, social media cross-reference, check-in patterns. The data was fascinating. 4 of the 12 husbands traveled constantly for work. 3 more worked 70-hour weeks. 2 were significantly older than their wives. 1 was in his second marriage after cheating in his first. The women were home. A lot. Together. A lot. And they all knew this guy Brandon from the gym. I met Brandon once, January, some charity thing at the country club. Jennifer introduced him as her trainer. "He's amazing," she said, touching his forearm. "Completely changed my core strength." Brandon was 32, divorced, drove a Range Rover he probably couldn't afford. He had that specific look: expensive haircut, cheap cologne, CrossFit body maintained just carefully enough to seem effortless. He shook my hand, held it 2 seconds too long. "Jennifer's told me about you," he said. "Has she?" "You're the computer guy, right?" "Something like that." Jennifer had already moved on, laughing at something her friend Victoria said. Victoria, married to a cardiac surgeon who worked 80-hour weeks, owned a vacation home in Aspen that she visited alone. I watched Brandon watching them both. Then I went home and added him to the spreadsheet. By April, the patterns were undeniable. Jennifer's Thursday book clubs ended at the same wine bar where Brandon checked in on Instagram. Her Saturday morning yoga sessions matched his posted workout times. When he went to Miami for a fitness conference, she suddenly had a girls' weekend in Miami. I didn't confront her. What would be the point? Instead, I expanded my research. Brandon's social media was a goldmine. Not because he was obvious, he was actually careful, no tagged photos with married women, but because he followed patterns. Same coffee shop every morning, same restaurants, same hotel bar on Wednesday nights. I started checking his followers, cross-referenced with Jennifer's friend group, 8 matches. 8 of Jennifer's 12 friends followed Brandon's private Instagram. The one he didn't advertise. The one with 73 followers and photos of beach sunsets with captions about living authentic. I started tracking who liked what, who commented where. Victoria liked every post within minutes. So did Melissa, whose husband ran a hedge fund and spent every weekend golfing. And Cassandra, married to a lawyer who'd made partner by sacrificing every evening to billable hours. The network was bigger than I'd thought. One Tuesday in May, I was picking up dry cleaning when I saw Brandon's Range Rover outside a medical clinic. Not the gym, not his usual coffee spot, a clinic. I sat in my car for 20 minutes. He came out looking different, tight around the eyes. He sat in his vehicle for another 10 minutes before driving away. I went home and did something I'm not proud of. I hacked the clinic's scheduling database. Not deeply, just enough to see appointment types. Brandon had been there for STI screening. Routine, probably. Responsible, even. But it triggered a thought. I pulled up my spreadsheet and started calculating timelines. Who'd been where, when, who'd traveled together, who'd stopped following whom on social media, then started again. The network wasn't just about Brandon. It was about 8 women, 3 men, and a whole lot of assumed discretion. I made one phone call, an old college friend who worked in public health. Hypothetically, I said, if someone in a social circle disclosed a positive status, how would that information typically spread? It wouldn't, he said. Medical privacy laws. But practically, panic. Everyone gets tested, relationships implode, the whole network collapses because nobody knows who knew what when. Interesting, I said. Why are you asking? Just theoretical, I said, and hung up. That night, Jennifer came home at 11. Her book club had run late again. How was it? I asked. Fine. We discussed French literature. Which book? She paused. You wouldn't know it. Try me. I'm exhausted, David. Can we not? She went upstairs. I heard the shower run for 20 minutes. I opened my laptop and added one final note to the file. The network assumes discretion, but discretion requires trust, and trust requires honesty. None of them had that. The moment came in June. Jennifer's friend group planned a couple's dinner at some overpriced Italian place downtown. Normally I'd make excuses, but this time I said yes immediately. Really? Jennifer looked surprised. You hate these things. I should make more effort, I said. She didn't question it. We arrived at 7. The usual crowd, Victoria and her surgeon husband who'd flown back that morning, Melissa and her hedge fund husband who spent dinner checking his phone, Cassandra and her lawyer husband who looked like he'd aged 5 years since I'd last seen him. Brandon wasn't there. Interesting. I sat between conversations, nursing a scotch, listening. The women talked about a yoga retreat in Sedona. The men discussed golf handicaps and market volatility. Standard stuff. Then Victoria's phone buzzed. She checked it, went pale. Excuse me, she said, standing quickly. She went outside. Through the window, I watched her make a call, then another. She kept glancing back at the restaurant, face tight. She came back inside, leaned down to whisper something to Melissa. Melissa's face changed. She excused herself. Took her phone. Cassandra noticed. Everything okay? Fine, Melissa said too quickly, but her hands were shaking. Jennifer frowned. What's going on? Nothing, Victoria said. Just some drama. But the way she said it, the way she wouldn't make eye contact. I sipped my scotch and watched the table fragment. Over the next 20 minutes, 4 women left to make calls. The men looked confused but didn't ask questions. They were used to being excluded from their wives' private conversations. When Jennifer stood to check on Victoria, I caught her wrist. Sit down, I said quietly. What? You'll want to be here for this. Something in my tone made her pause. She sat. 5 minutes later, Victoria came back inside. Her makeup was smudged. We need to go, she told her husband. We haven't even ordered. Now. They left. The table went quiet. Then Melissa's phone rang. She answered, listened, then stood so fast her chair fell backward. "Did you know?" she asked Cassandra. "Know what?" "About Brandon." The name landed like a grenade. Jennifer went rigid. Cassandra's face drained. Two other women at the table looked at each other with something that might have been recognition or guilt or fear. "What about Brandon?" Cassandra asked carefully. "He—" Melissa stopped, glanced at the husbands, then grabbed Jennifer's arm. "Outside. Now." Jennifer stood. I stood with her. "David, this is private." "No," I said. "It's not." The four of them went outside. I followed. So did three confused husbands. On the sidewalk, Melissa was crying. "He's positive," she said. "Brandon's HIV positive. He disclosed it to someone last month, but nobody told." She didn't finish. She didn't need to. Jennifer looked at me. Really looked at me. And I saw the exact moment she understood. "You knew," she whispered. "I suspected. How long? Does it matter?" Cassandra's husband was piecing it together slowly. "Wait, who's Brandon?" Nobody answered him. Melissa was still crying. "I need to get tested. Oh God, I need to—" "We all do," Cassandra said quietly. Jennifer was still staring at me. "You could have said something." "Could I? When exactly? When you were at book club? Yoga? Your girl's weekend in Miami that coincided with his fitness conference?" The words hung there. Victoria's surgeon husband arrived back, having forgotten his phone. He caught the tail end. "What the hell is happening?" "Your wife's been—" I started. "Don't," Victoria said. But it was too late. The questions started, the denials, the accusations. I stepped back and watched 8 months of careful networking collapse in 8 minutes. The restaurant dissolved into chaos. Jennifer grabbed my arm, pulled me away from the crowd. Her nails dug into my wrist. "You did this," she said. "You planned this." I didn't plan anything. I just stopped pretending I didn't notice. "You smug. Careful." Something in my voice stopped her. She'd never heard that tone before. Nobody had. "You knew about Brandon?" she asked. "I knew about the network. Brandon was just the center point. Network? 12 women, 3 men, 1 gym, a lot of assumed discretion that required everyone to keep everyone else's secrets." I stepped closer. But secrets only work when everyone's incentivized to keep them. The second someone has something to lose, something real, like their health, the whole thing crumbles. She was shaking. "So you what? Waited? Watched? Let you what, Jennifer? Make your own choices? I'm not your father. You're supposed to be my husband. Funny, you stopped treating me like one somewhere around year 3. Behind her, Victoria was screaming at her husband. Melissa had collapsed onto a bench, phone pressed to her ear. Cassandra stood alone, staring at nothing. Jennifer's phone buzzed, then again, then continuously. She checked it. Her face went white. "The group chat," she whispered. "Let me guess. Everyone's comparing timelines, trying to figure out who knew what when, who's at risk." She looked up at me. "How long have you known about us?" "January. And you said nothing." "What was there to say? You made it clear I was boring, invisible. The computer guy who paid the mortgage while you found excitement elsewhere." I shrugged. "So I did what computer guys do. I collected data. You're a psychopath. I'm careful. There's a difference." Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. She turned it off. "What now?" she asked. "Now? You deal with reality. You get tested. You figure out which of your friends actually knew about Brandon's status and didn't warn anyone. You realize that the network you thought gave you power was actually a liability." I started walking toward my car. "And you do it without me. Where are you going?" "Home. To pack your things." "You can't just—" "I already filed. Divorce papers hit your email an hour ago. Dated and backdated with evidence of adultery, which in this state affects asset distribution. My lawyer's very thorough. She ran after me. David, wait. No. We can fix this. We can't. You know why? Because you forgot something important. What? I stopped, turned to face her. You thought I was weak because I didn't react when you disrespected me. You mistook patience for inability. I smiled. Men like me don't get loud when we're angry. We get organized. Behind her, someone was shouting, car doors slamming, the surgeon's voice rising above the rest, demanding explanations nobody could give. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. I never meant, yes, you did. You meant every dismissive comment, every time you talked over me, every time you treated me like I was lucky to be in the same room as you. I pulled my car keys out. The problem wasn't that you cheated, Jennifer. It was that you thought I was too stupid to notice. I'm sorry. No, you're caught. There's a difference. Her phone started ringing, even though she'd powered it off. Someone was desperate. Your friends need you, I said. Better go figure out which ones were actually friends and which ones were just accomplices. I got in my car. She stood there on the sidewalk, mascara running, phone vibrating in her hand, while behind her the entire social structure she'd built her identity on tore itself apart. I drove home, threw her belongings into suitcases I'd bought that morning, changed the locks on doors I'd changed that afternoon, transferred the shared accounts into individual ones I'd set up last week. By the time she got home 2 hours later, her key wouldn't work. She pounded on the door. I opened it but didn't move aside. This is my house too, she said. Was, past tense. Check the deed. It was never in your name. Purchased before marriage, inheritance from my parents. My lawyer made sure I understood the distinction. You can't do this. I already did. David, please. Your things are on the porch. Your mother's address is on the suitcases. I assume you'll go there since Victoria and Melissa probably aren't taking visitors right now. She started crying. Real tears this time. I loved you, she said. No, you loved what I provided. The house, the financial security, the invisible husband who didn't ask questions. I started closing the door. You just forgot that invisible doesn't mean blind. Wait. Goodbye, Jennifer. I closed the door. She pounded on it for another 5 minutes. Then her phone rang. I heard it through the wood. She answered. Whoever it was made her cry harder. After 10 minutes, she stopped pounding. After 20, I heard a car pull up, her mother's voice, shrill and demanding explanations. After 30, they were gone. I stood in my house, legally and completely, and poured myself a scotch. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. It buzzed again. Text message this time. This is Victoria's husband. I need to know everything you know. I deleted it. Another text. Melissa's husband. Then Cassandra's. I blocked them all. This wasn't my circus anymore. I opened my laptop, pulled up the spreadsheet I'd been maintaining for 8 months, and hit delete. The file erased, then overwrote itself 3 times. Secure deletion. Then I poured another scotch and sat in my living room, quiet, organized, mine, and thought about nothing at all. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls. I made coffee, went to work, did my job. At lunch, Jennifer's best friend cornered me in the parking garage. You destroyed her life, she said. No, she did that herself. I just stopped helping her hide it. You're a monster. I'm practical, but I understand the confusion. She left. I finished my coffee. Over the next week, the fallout spread. Victoria's husband filed for divorce. So did Melissa's. Cassandra's marriage imploded in a single weekend. 4 other couples in the network separated. Brandon left town. Smart move. Jennifer tried calling from her mother's house. I didn't answer. Her lawyer sent letters. My lawyer sent better ones. By the end of the month, it was over. The divorce finalized, contested but pointless. Since I had documentation of everything, and she had expensive lawyers who couldn't argue with timestamps and evidence, I kept the house, the savings, the car, the life I'd built. She kept her friends, the ones who still talked to her anyway. Last I heard, the network had splintered into 3 factions, none speaking to the others. I heard through indirect channels that Jennifer moved to Portland. Started over. New job, new city, new life. I hoped she'd learned something, but probably not. People rarely do. I sold the house 6 months later. Didn't need it anymore. Too many rooms for one person. Bought a smaller place downtown. Better commute. Better life. Started dating someone I met at a conference. She was a project manager, smart, direct. When she talked, I listened. When I talked, she listened back. It worked. One night she asked about my ex-wife. What happened there? She forgot that marriage is a partnership, started treating it like a throne. What did you do? Let her fall off. She nodded. Didn't press. That's how I knew she was different. Some people think revenge is about destruction, fire and blood and screaming matches. But the best revenge is just walking away and taking everything with you that was actually yours to begin with. Dignity, resources, self-respect. Let them keep the drama. I never saw Jennifer again, but sometimes late at night, I wonder if she still thinks men line up for her, or if she finally realized that the line was always an illusion, just people using each other while pretending it meant something more. Either way, it wasn't my problem anymore, and that was the only revenge I ever needed.